and I'm your host for today's roller coaster ride through the, buzzing corridors of business and to help Nigeria economy. Yeah, all about the government. What can they do to help this economy? That's really what we're interested in, isn't it? And I'm asking this today because I know that you are curious and concerned. And I'm here to tell you that your curiosity and your concerns, my dear friend, are valid. So sharing your thoughts on the possible methods and actions that the new ministers might take is you actually participating in national development. So I like that we're having this conversation today because it also happens to be the day that the very first cabinet meeting is holding. I believe it should be on by now. I wasn't able to confirm that before coming live on air, but yes, they said it will hold. It should have started. The president is having his federal executive meeting, the very first for him since he was sworn in on May 29, and the new ministers, the cabinet members, are supposed to, pretty much bring the blueprints and then, whatever it is that they are planning to do, they're going to table it before the president today and get approvals. So you see why it's important that you share your thoughts. So they would like to know what it is that you're thinking, what's on your mind. Let's get it all out today. So what can the new faces in this government do to help the economy? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your solutions, your insights. Always on your perspectives as a possible missing piece of the puzzle. When you think about our economy, when you think about getting right, your thoughts help. So whether you're a seasoned economist, a business owner, a financial expert, or just someone, with a passion for Nigeria, you really want to see Nigeria look much better, your input is invaluable on Talking Figures. Don't forget that we are live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join in and share your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll get them right when it's time for us to read out the comments. You can also drop your comments on X. Yeah, the one we used to call Twitter is now X, and you can drop your comments there as well. And also on WhatsApp on 0809 030 6416. That's where you can drop your messages, and when the phone lines are open, I get to look through all of those messages and actually share them here in the studio live on air. So but first, let's dive right into Market Watch, which is where we bring you the latest insights that matter. And on Market Watch, I like to always do it with my guests. Yes, I have with me tech and business innovation leader and convener of Startup South. Yes, he's here right here. Mr. Uche Anichie joins me right now. Good afternoon. Good to have you on Talking Figures.
Good afternoon, Chioma. Always a pleasure to be here.
So before we get into the real thing, okay, I like to call the elephant in the room. Let's look at what's been in the news or what's been all over the place, just to give insight, and then we'll get into what we call insider tips much later, to look at what I talked about already, which is how exactly can the new ministers actually contribute to helping our economy beyond all the English. They've been speaking a lot of English since they were sworn in, so we're going to dive into that. But first, let's look at Market Watch. Let's look at what's been in the news. What does it mean? Okay, and the first one here is, can you believe it's been almost 1 week since the federal government dropped that news that a whooping 5 billion naira, to each state, and it's been cricket since then, actually, Uche. I don't know, and we haven't heard anything. Don't forget, they said last Thursday that 180 trucks of rice, as part of ways of, addressing the whole effects of subsidy removal, that they were going to bring it to the state and then it was going to be distributed. Has it been done in your state if you're not in River State? Because I'm in River State and I've not heard anything. And NLC says we are watching.
Well, it takes a lot of logistics and planning to do some of those things. So I guess we can cut them some slack, right?
Okay.
It's been like a week since that was announced. And I'm not sure a week is enough to put all the necessary logistics and whatever
but
that needs to be in place. Yeah.
Then again, people argue that, are you supposed to tell us, and then after you tell us it starts happening? It shouldn't it be something that is already ongoing, and then you're just letting us know something like that is coming to your state.
Yeah. That's a very valid point. But however, you need to also understand that when Nigeria, things are done in certain ways. The Nigerian
factor is
things
played
are done
here.
in certain ways that sometimes look a bit weird, right? So, but to basically bring that home, federal government made that announcement. It was not the states that made the announcements, right? So ideally, it should be expected that when the thing should have been disbursed first and all the plans put in place before the announcement. Yeah. Again, these people are also under pressure. They want to be able to show that they're doing something, in the face of the hardship. So every little time and every little things counts. So putting that message out is a way to douse tension, I guess.
I think you're right on that one. But then again, it's been 3 months since the removal of subsidy, which was, it was talked about a lot before it was actually done. So it continues to show that it was
lack of planning.
Yeah,
we have, like I said, this is Nigeria. A lot of things are not what they look like, and we're getting to deal with that and hoping that we can be better as a nation
and be more innovative about things like this.
Exactly.
Now let's look at this one that says, according to the most recent report from the National Bureau of Statistics, the average fare that passengers paid for water transportation in June 2023 was, guess what? 1,366 naira 22 kobo. Now, it sounds still very cheap, right? But when you compare it to what it was just last year, that was 943 naira 26 kobo. So you see that it's a massive increase of 44 point something percent.
Up to 44, 900, yes. 1,000. What did you just say?
1,366 naira.
Oh yeah, okay.
And now it's 943 naira. So that's about.
And I think that's a fair increase compared to what you have on the land.
Road transportation.
So road transportation, for instance, has gone as much as 200% increase, right? In some cases, and 300% in some cases. So for water transportation, 40% is not bad compared. Considering the fact that they also use fuel, like
diesel. They do not use.
Well, it depends. No, it depends
on the.
The lighter boats use fuel,
they
right?
Still do,
the
right?
steam boats also use fuel, right? So it's the same thing. So those are Yamaha powered engine.
Yes.
Outboard. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see whether you perhaps should start considering water transportation. But it's not everyone that can use it, even if you want to consider it. It's not everyone. But just in case you're trying to go to Bonny or one of those areas, it's something maybe you have to pay more. We're going to look at that actually and keep an eye on that one. Now, another key thing you need to know on Market Watch today is that several years of processing them manually, finally, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has adopted automated procedures for processing airline operator certificates. Now, this may mean nothing to you, but whenever I read that finally a federal government agency is waking up from slumber, from manually to digital, we're coming out from those ages. Phew, we're getting there. What do you think, Uche?
So it's almost like no-brainer that in 2023, we're discussing this and
it's news
and sounding and making it look like news, right?
And they're going to add it to their achievements.
Exactly. So it's almost like but what can we do? We celebrate it all the same.
We do. And then in case you're in one of those agencies where they still carry the files about and do it so manually, come on. Come on. That's what I'm telling you right now. Both at the federal and at the state level, even local government.
And the ones that require you to print the letter and bring physically, when you can send an email.
Come on.
Some government guy told me bros, we are doing what we can to become digitalized.
How are you doing what you can?
No, hold on. It says we're doing what we can to become digitalized. But my brother, let me tell you the truth. They still require you to print that in so we can sign it physically. They want to see a physical copy that we signed, And I'm like, really? And that's because I sent him a document. We're working on something, and I sent him a document, electronic, that requires electronic signature.
They don't have anything like that.
And the guy said, "No, you don't need to have anything. Your email is enough for us to sign a document electronically." My brother, I know we're getting there, but bro, we still need to sign that thing physically.
You agree that we still need to?
He works for people, and he doesn't. The buck doesn't stop on his table. So what can I do? Anyway. So he sent me the document to sign and
just sign it already. Okay, now before we wrap up Market Watch for today and get into insider tips, of course, here's this one that says it's actually about transport. That's Ministry of Transportation thinking about buying electric cars, to make traveling better. So some ministries are already in 2025. And some are in the 1980s. What do you think about us getting electric cars because we want to make traveling better and cheaper? Because fuel isn't cheap.
I hope what they mean is that they are going to support private people to own electric cars. And that not that their ministry is going to buy electric cars. I don't understand. Like I see some people tell me, "Oh, these buses." For crying out loud, somebody says, "Oh, there are buses for the civil servants to come to work." That. And I'm okay, so civil servant, they will come to work. Then what happened to the rest of the people?
Exactly. And the good population are not civil servants.
And then who takes care of those buses, right? How do you sustain those buses? What budget, is going to sustain those buses that you're buying, right? Instead of you to create some type of system that allows you to support the general populace, right? By working through private sector to deploy buses that reduces the transportation system, and that's infrastructure. And I'm sure we'll talk about it when we delve into the matter itself, right? Those are some of the infrastructures that we talk about. Choma, let's just leave it. So
because when we get into it, but I believe the CNG part, the special aid to the president talked about the CNG, the whole converting cars to use CNG, that's compressed natural gas. That one is more believable. That one is more feasible. But electric cars, first of all, they are not cheap. And we don't even have the electricity that comes in front of the car. There's so much, logistics is even more complicated. We started this conversation by talking about how we have a government that is not able to handle logistics properly and it stalls plans, right? And then we're talking of electric cars. Anyways, like we said, the ministers have been saying a lot of things, and it's good that the next phase of this conversation is us looking into what it is they've been saying and how exactly the economy can be moved forward. And that's it for Market Watch. Now let's get deep into insider tips. The first cabinet meeting of the Tinubu administration probably is on right now, and they've said that the 45 new ministers who were sworn in on Monday will present their blueprints of their respective ministries for approval. What's in that blueprint? What would you have wanted to be on that blueprint? What should be on those blueprints? What should be there? Yes, it's time for you to join the conversation. I called out the one number earlier. Yes, you can send your message on WhatsApp. 0809-030-6416 is the WhatsApp number for you to call right now and share your thoughts right now on what exactly should be the blueprint. Considering their role, the new ministers, what's their, when you think about their role in shaping Nigeria's economy, how can these new ministers strategically drive growth, innovation, and sustainability? And that's why I have the Tech and Business Innovation Leader and Convener of Startup South, Mr. Uche Anichie, in the studio right here with me, because when they're talking big English, you talk bigger English, right? Because you want people to understand what they're talking about at the end of the day.
No, when they're talking big English, you break it down.
Yeah, what I mean is this. When they talk big English, then you bring people who sabi pass all of them, perhaps.
And to break it down.
Exactly. To break it down for us,
Yes,
but to
yes,
let them
yes.
know that we know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it's still the talking figures and we're getting into insider tips now. We're live on Facebook, by the way. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And you can drop your messages on X as well. Yes, X is the one we used to call Twitter. And you can drop your messages there. And then we'll be right back after this break. When we come back, I'll take your comments. I'll open the phone lines and we'll get right really into this conversation. Stay tuned. And we are back. Yes, it's Talking Figures. We've been talking figures. If you've missed the first half of the show, I'm sorry, but you can still catch up because we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info PH on Facebook and YouTube. And you can drop your comments. I mentioned earlier, if you have not dropped it, this is a good time to drop it. We're asking how best can the new faces in government actually help the economy to grow? How best do you think that the new ministers, I'm talking the new faces are the new ministers, and in case you're thinking they're not new faces, they are new faces, so you understand? No matter how long they've been around governance and government and politics, as long as they've joined officially this administration, yes, they are new faces in government. And we are asking, what can the new faces in this government do to help Nigeria's economy? We are live on Facebook. You can join in, share your thoughts in the comment section. I'll read live on air. You can drop comments on X, the one known as Twitter. Yes, you can drop your messages there. And then, of course, your WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, you can drop messages as well. 0809-030-6416. The cabinet meeting, the first cabinet meeting of this administration, should be on by now, because they said that that's also where the blueprints, the many new ministers, the 45 new ministers will be dropping their blueprints today and asking the president to approve what they plan to do. So, considering their role in shaping Nigeria's economy, how can these new ministers strategically drive growth, strategically drive innovation and sustainability? I have in the studio, of course, tech and business innovation leader and convener, Startup South, Mr. Uche Anichie. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Chuma.
Okay, so I'm going to open the phone lines, but just right after I hear this very first thing, I wanted to ask Mr. Anichie, I mean, you are like one of the leaders in the tech ecosystem, and when you talk about startups now, when you heard that we now have a minister of communication, innovation, and digital economy, what ran through your mind?
So, I think the first thing for us was the person, right? For us in the ecosystem, yeah.
He's a big deal, huh?
The first things for us in the ecosystem is the person. Basu Tijani is a person, is someone that has been, I mean, he's a pioneer in the space. Started CC Hub, one of the pioneers of the new phase of the ecosystem, and so making him the minister is like putting the right the round peg in a round hole kind of scenario.
Okay.
And so of course respect a lot from him now, because to whom much is given, much is expected. So there are lots of things that so for me personally, it's a mixed feeling, but at the same time is because originally we were scared that he may not get the right, the portfolio to help him to make the right impact. We know his capacity, we know what he's capable of doing, but we were and so when it was finally announced and he had that position, we think that he is in the right place, and so we can only look forward to what he's capable of. We can only look forward to what happens next, right?
Now, what specific areas of Nigerian economy do you believe require urgent attention from these new ministers now?
So Chairman, Nigeria is grappling with a lot of issues. Our economy is in tatters as we speak. Where we have infrastructural deficits, and healthcare is abysmal. There are lots of issues going on, unemployment. So I think that they should be looking at infrastructure, improving our infrastructure, improving the economy as a whole. Healthcare is important. Job creation is important.
Okay.
Of course, power supply is a factor of all of the things that I've talked about. And so, yes, those should be the things that I want to. Of course, food security as well. Food security, so agriculture and food security is very important. So I want to limit myself to those. There's so much that can happen. Today we're suffering the impact of subsidy removal because of our infrastructure deficit. If we had rail lines, right? Intercity rail lines, right?
It's being constructed, I believe.
If we have those, right, a lot more people, trains will move more people than the cars would, and true. It's more cost effective to move by trains, right? And the impact of the subsidy removal will be very minimal on our economy, but it's having the type of impact is having on us because our economy, our infrastructures are decrepit, and that's the challenge that we're having. So I think that anything that is done in that direction would go a long way in helping our economy generally.
Yeah, the phone lines are open now, 08179230002. You can also call 08179230003. I'm asking, what can these new faces in government, the new ministers, what exactly can they do to help Nigeria's economy? We have a business and innovation leader, the Convener Startup South, with me, Mr. Uche Anichie, and he's reeled out a lot of areas where he believes urgent attention is needed from the new ministers. What do you think? I'm listening, and your thoughts I would like to hear your thoughts right now. But first, let's start with phone lines. The comments on. I thought I saw a comment now. Yeah, the one on WhatsApp says, "Good afternoon, presenter. The way forward is to rehabilitate that our our refineries, because petroleum product is the hub of the economy. That's the only game changer as far as the economy planning is all about." That's Nestle from PHC. And so we go over now to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon. You're on. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talking Figures. Ida from Nkoro.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Quite well. You're welcome to Talking Figures.
Thank you. My own is my former governor of Rivers State, Uche.
Okay.
I believe in that he will bring new idea to Nigerians and Abuja particular, to turn Abuja to London. Yes.
How will turning Abuja to London help the economy? This is Talking Figures. Let's talk figures now.
No, listen to me now. Investors will troop in now. As long as Abuja is safe in security matter, the security matter once start work, investors will troop in. So it will develop our economy. So I believe only that minister. I don't know of any other person. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay, thank you for calling in. You've heard in there how we interpret these things can be fascinating, isn't it? Now, in your opinion, Mr. Uche, what innovative approaches can the new ministers adopt? I mean, you are, the king in business innovation. What are those approaches that they can, actually pick up to improve economic growth? I mean, job creation in particular.
So I think the first and foremost, a couple of things that they need to do. They should adopt digitalization. They need to digitalize a lot of the processes. We were speaking earlier how one of the agencies, has decided to automate, their process. I mean, we need to see more of that. We need to see more of that. We need to see more engagement, and we need to see more transparency. Okay, and of course, we need to see them engage professionals. A lot of the appointments that has been made are more political than, I don't think that you have a lot of. I don't think that you have a lot of technocrats in this appointments that have been made, right? Sadly. Sadly. But I mean, it behooves of these people to understand that they may need to get technocrats, to support their work, even if the appointments were political. So I hope that they go that direction. So I need to see them engage more more innovatively. There are lots of things that we can, we can engage. Like for instance, there are they can adopt design thinking approach to policies and even to execution.
How does that work?
So essentially, is to try to understand the different factors, the different components and factors that that make up for the whole, and then engaging them appropriately, right? So not a function of sitting down in your bedroom and thinking, oh, if I do this, it will be fine, and so go and do it. Right? So you want to test the things. Oh, this and this and these are the factors, and so if I solve for this, what happens to this, right? And so I test it. I try to do it at a smaller level to test it and see what happens. And then, which is why you have people say, "Oh, we're doing pilot testing and stuff like that." No, we expect these people to adopt more innovative design thinking in the processes. So
now, what you're saying seems to me like we need to get into them collaborating with the private sector. But first, let's take this call and then we'll get to that. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, you're welcome to Talking Figures.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my name is Paul Benson.
All right.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate all those ministers that have been appointed. The expectations are very high. Nigerians want a lot from them, given the current state of the economy. First, we'll look at the petroleum sector. because the price of all commodities in the market hovers around the petroleum sector. So I think if the new Minister of Petroleum is able to fix all our refineries and bring the petroleum products to the price of those products to the bare minimum, it will go a long way in cushioning the East is able to fix the road as well as to develop the region, because the region has been impoverished. Poverty is everywhere in the region, despite the enormous resources that are gotten from the region. So I think if they can do to develop the region, we'll give them commendations.
Thank you so much for your thoughts there. What do you think, Mr. Anichie?
Well, so I mean, I can't fault what he said. Yeah, but I think that those things are what you would consider immediate term approach, right? There should be an immediate term, mid-term, and long-term approach to solving the issues, right?
Yeah.
Nigeria's economy today hovers around fuel, basically. But should it be that way?
Good.
Should it continue to be that way?
Good
So we should look at it from this is where it is now, because some people haven't done what they should have done over the years, right?
Yeah.
So, but if we don't do anything about this right now, we're going to it's probably going to get worse, and it's going to get worse actually. So I'm not a prophet of doom, but that's the truth, right?
Why is every expert that comes on the show always saying
Yeah.
that?
It's going to, you don't need...
But that's why we're having these conversations. And now we say we have new ministers. What should they do to make sure it doesn't get worse?
Yeah, so first off is we need to engage our productive capacity as a people. So the ministers should engage the entrepreneurs, right? We need to strengthen our entrepreneurial capacity and our most especially our productive capacity. We're not doing that. We don't have enough productive capacity.
How can we do that?
By supporting the entrepreneurs, by creating enabling environment, creating proper policies, right? To ease the business environment. So all of those things, creating opportunities to attract investors.
Now
right?
let's look at the productive aspect of what you just talked about. Easing business environment. How can that be possible? I mean, we have now the Minister of Finance and all of the people that hovers directly around the economy. We even have a minister on blue economy now. So what exactly should that look like?
Let me give you an instance. If you go to the US and a lot of the countries in the West, right, what is the average interest rate? It's hovering around 5%, and even that is just recently was increased, right? And people are crying because the interest rate is at 5%. People are actually crying. Inflation rate is about 9%. It used to, I think it was up to 10 or 11% before Donald Trump
single
left.
Digits.
Nah, but it's under 9%, and people are crying that, I mean, it's causing massive issues, right? But come to Nigeria.
24% for inflation.
For inflation. And how much interest rate?
The last time we talked about that, it doesn't come to mind right now, but I know we
interest rate
is
almost nearing 30% as we speak.
It went up recently.
Yes. So what that means is there is no capital, right? Business people need to borrow money to be able to produce.
Okay, now, 18.75%.
Is that interest rate?
Yes.
Of inflation.
That's lending rate. No, the inflation is already 24.
No, that is from the CBN.
Yeah.
That is what the CBN.
Well, in the banks is more.
This is what CBN. This is CBN's lending rate, right? The banks would have to add theirs, and so it's nearing in some instances it's nearing, it's nearing 30%, right?
Yeah.
Now, so the and what's our inflation? Inflation is over 24%, like you rightly
about
said.
24%.
So what does that tell you? I mean, that tells you that, number one, you don't have money to borrow. Number two, people lack capacity to even buy from you, right? At the rate, so which means if I borrow at this high rate, right, whatever I produce, I will find it difficult to sell it, right? That's the implication. So anything that we're doing that will bring that down is going to be very helpful to the economy.
Okay, we have a caller now. We have Ndubisi from Elele. Oh, I think we lost him. You can call me back. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Ndubisi was calling me from Elele. You can call back. Okay, now let's go to Facebook. I have a message here from Facebook that says, by cutting down their salaries they earn per month. The question is, how can the new ministers help the economy? That's the question. And this person says, by cutting down their salaries they earn per month.
I doubt the issue is the salary. I think it's more about first and foremost, it's over bloated. I mean, in terms of the number of ministers, right? So that ultimately increases the number of PAs and the rest of.
So we have 45 ministers and counting, because we don't have Kaduna added yet.
Exactly.
And the other cabinet members.
Exactly. And then each of them are going to have PAs and aides and SSSs and so you see, I think that's where the issue more lies, not even necessarily their salaries.
Own direct
right?
allowance and all of that. Anyway, this message is from Schoolboy Zuguru Nwibe. He says, by using the fuel subsidy money into the refinery, if really they have the interest of Nigerians at heart, without their, he says, corrupt agenda. I don't know. I don't know. But then I'm not going to ask you now, how can the government effectively collaborate with the private sector to, stimulate investment and boost economic development? With all that you've said that, inflation is not where it ought to be. We need it to get to single digits, both the interest rate and the inflation. How can we collaborate? How can the government collaborate with the government? The private sector.
I think engagement is very important. I think the government needs to engage more. I think for us, there are different forums. NESG is there. I know that NECA is there. So there are lots of forums to have those conversations.
So the new ministers need to start reaching out to all of these people.
They need to engage, and I believe they will engage. So they need to engage a lot more. And then there are lots of, not just engage, but they also need to make sure that they are being transparent. They need to make sure that they're being transparent, because it's not lack of engagement. Engagement has not been lacking in the past, right?
I wanted to say that
it is the implementation of the outcomes of the engagement that has been the challenge, right?
Absolutely.
So they need to be transparent, and they need to come clean, and and be truthful to their mission. So a lot of times this is politics, right? Just say the right things, check the right boxes, and don't worry, it doesn't matter if you deliver on them or not. So I think they could do better, and they can and should do better.
When we look at the private sector and all that they've gone through in the past 3 months since the removal of subsidy, they've been through a lot. They have seen Shege Pro Max, and many others. Now, what exactly can the private sector do to better position for better engagement with the new ministers?
So I think there are existing forums that they already used to do that, and I don't think that. I think it's for those forums to utilize those forums. But again, I look at the leadership of some of this stuff. Everything Nigeria has is issues, right? I look at the leadership, and sometimes the leadership is about patronage. It's about rent. How they say rent seeking. So, so sometimes people just go and you're not saying things the way they should, because you want to be in people's good books, right?
But do we not have to be in people's good books?
My sister, you can still be in people's good books and still tell them the truth, right?
Oh, about telling the truth. Okay.
Yeah, it's about telling the truth. And sometimes, how they say that the truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah, when it comes to telling the truth, don't worry about the books. That's what I'll say.
So, exactly. So that's the point. So you see, you're contradicting yourself now.
No, I didn't know you were talking about telling the truth.
Yeah, so it's about telling the truth. So,
yes.
So a lot of times people want don't want to hurt people. They want to be in people's good books, and I understand that, But what we have to do, they need to know the truth. They need to do what is right, right? Unfortunately, we don't have people around here that would require of you the truth. A lot of people want to be, praised. They want more praise singers around them because apparently it helps their career. But there are platforms already. They should engage those platforms and they should leverage it. I know that NECA people, the Chamber of Commerce, and of course, like in our own space, we have the ISN. We continue to do what we have to do.
Okay, now let's go on WhatsApp. We have Woyike Odinaka says, I believe that the newly sworn in ministers will bring their wealth of experience, of vast experience, into governance, as they have all excelled in their previous careers before their appointment. I expect the Minister for Finance to look at our economy and advise Mr. President rightly, especially against going into borrowing, while the Minister of Agriculture should encourage back to farm by young people. That part.
Back to farm by young people. I think we should engage more mechanized farming, more commercial farming, right? I understand that a lot of people see farming as, job. They see it as a sector that can create, more jobs or create bigger jobs. But a lot of times when they talk, and they are correct, right? But a lot of times when they talk about that, they are looking at it from a point of view of the manual labor stuff, right? And which ultimately ends up as subsistence farming, right? There's really opportunity for us to engage farming at a highly mechanized and commercial level, right? And it will still employ people because there are lots of things people can do, even with the mechanization of farming, right? I think that we can do a lot more better across so many sectors, not just farming. Right, even education, for instance, we can do a lot more. I don't know who the Minister of Education is, but we can do a lot more. Our school system, our curriculums need to be updated. We need to remodel the curriculum to reflect what the society currently needs. I don't think we've had the curriculum refresh in a long while. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I think that we need to do more so that our curriculum reflects the society where we are today as a people.
And that's a very important one when you think about the fact that we have some graduates who you cannot employ. I mean,
oh no,
hiring is such a task, not because we do not see the right people, but because the graduates do not have any skill whatsoever, and yet they just have certificate and NYSC certificate and all of the paper, but they cannot do anything.
It's a pandemic, actually, so.
And it's rarely talked about or not talked about enough, right?
It's when you say not talked about, I mean it's talked about. The issue is, like we say, execution. Who the agencies that are responsible for the execution, are they listening? Because that's a different conversation.
How can we get them to listen?
So I think that to a large extent, they are. I mean, a lot of times you bring them to the table. You basically to bring them to the table and help them see. But a lot of them are also too busy to attend some of those engagements. So the question becomes, busy doing what? Right? Busy doing what? Because your primary responsibility is this, and it's not working, and you are not in a position to engage with people that can give you proper feedback and even support you to make it work. So it is what it is.
Yeah, the phone lines are still open as we wrap up. 0817-923-0007. You can also call 0817-923-0009. Yes, the WhatsApp number 0809-030-6416. What can the new ministers do to help this economy? They are all saying that we are in for it. We are in for premium shege. So what can we do to ensure that doesn't happen? I mean, we are a nation that's been blessed by great natural resources, and the problem has always been how we've been managing it. So if we have new managers in different ministries and they have all of these agencies and departments and they're all going to be under them and they're going to be taking care of all of them, should we have all of them sounding like the current FCT minister? Or should we have all of them just shush and work?
And to be honest, I think that these ministers need to understand, and everyone inclusive, they need to understand that there is a need to be inviting. And what do I mean by that?
Yeah, you're going to explain that. Let's take this call. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, quite well. You're welcome to Talking Figures. What are your thoughts?
My name is Gift Ward.
Okay.
I want to say that it is as much as the duty of ministers to give us policies and programs and all of that and help the ease of doing business. But the ordinary Nigerian person, businessman, also has a critical role to play.
I like that part.
Because in the end, even if government doesn't do what they are supposed to do, that doesn't mean that people should not try to be able to do something. You hear about people who say they think made millionaires all over the world. People can also be self-made millionaires there in a year. That doesn't say we can't do that. But it calls for cooperation between the government and the people that they lead. And that is why it is also important in trying to build trust between government and the people, that we should, when we are talking already like this, we shouldn't only talk about the things that we don't have or the things that are not available. Let's also talk about the things that are available. Let's also talk about the things that areas where we have made improvement. Because in the end, if we paint a scary picture, if we paint a gory picture about things, it might scare people from even trying. So, for example, I know that the current government is with the idea of giving small business people reduced interest rates to be able to do something. That information needs to be put out there for the people to know. We cannot be discussing based on old situation or maybe the situation about the bank. I'm talking about a special intervention and thinking of government, the present government, in the area of giving people, loans where they will pay as low as maybe 9%, 7%, and all of that. Nigerians need to get that information so that they can gear up to take advantage of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gift Nwolu, for sharing your thoughts there. Because of time, we're going to be wrapping up. I know you want to respond to that. Go ahead and then share your final thoughts.
So I like his approach, and I think it's very balanced approach. Thank you, Gift, for sharing that. However, I need to point out that I believe that today's topic is actually focusing on what the ministers can do. Right? There are conversations that you've heard around. What
is working,
what is working, and what people can do. I believe so. But I also think that, like he talked about, the interest rate special program by the government. I think it was by the previous government, right? The question is, how many people are accessing that facility? Because even when you go to some of the banks around here, they don't have the memo, right? So.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So you don't. I mean, you see, we will talk about the intention is not to scare people, but again, if you don't let people know how bad things are, right? It might force. It may not get people to wake up and start doing what they need to do, right?
Okay.
So it's a double-edged sword, I understand, and I agree. It could scare some people away.
But it can also make someone
it can
really
also-
start working.
Yeah.
We're out of time, actually, Mr. Uche. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today. Mr. Uche Anichie is a business innovation leader, and also, of course, the convener of Startup South. And we've been talking about what the new ministers can do to help the economy. Eyes are watching. We're all watching. And we're going to remain optimistic that things will turn around for this country. Thank you for being a part of Talking Figures today. My name is Choma Ezewanfor, and up next is Rivers Today. And after that, Hard Facts with Kalada will come up. Stay tuned, and thank you. See you next week.